Why sea access divides Eritrea and Ethiopia. When we talk about the Horn of Africa, we are not just talking about geography. We are talking about history, power, memory, and survival. Nowhere is this more visible than in the complex relationship between Eritrea and Ethiopia, two neighboring countries whose futures remain deeply intertwined, yet sharply divided by one critical issue: access to the sea and the protection of sovereignty. To understand the present tension, we must first look back. Before Eritrea's independence in 1993, Ethiopia had direct access to the Red Sea through the ports of Assab and Massawa. Those ports were not just economic gateways, they were strategic lifelines. But Eritrea's independence, earned through a long and costly liberation struggle, changed everything. Ethiopia became landlocked, and a new political reality was born in the Horn of Africa. Being landlocked in itself is not unusual. Many countries around the world operate without direct access to the sea. But Ethiopia is different. It is home to more than 120 million people. It is one of Africa's fastest-growing economies, and it sees itself as a regional power with long-term ambitions. For Ethiopian leaders, sea access is not simply a matter of convenience. It is framed as an economic necessity, a national security concern, and a strategic interest that transcends political parties and governments. Today, more than 90% of Ethiopia's imports and exports pass through Djibouti. This creates a dependence, vulnerability, and high economic costs. It also places Ethiopia at the mercy of a single corridor. Because of this, Ethiopian rhetoric around sea access has grown stronger. In recent years, some officials have described access to the sea as a natural right of a large nation. While these statements are often accompanied by calls for peaceful negotiation, the language itself has raised alarm across the region, especially in Eritrea, because it suggests entitlement rather than diplomacy. From Eritrea's perspective, the issue is not economic. It is existential. Eritrea's independence was not gifted. It was fought for over 3 decades of war, sacrifice, and resistance. Its borders are internationally recognized, and its sovereignty is legally established. For Eritrea, any suggestion that Ethiopia has a right to Eritrean ports is not a policy debate. It is a direct challenge to the very foundation of the Eritrean state. Eritrea does not oppose Ethiopia's development. It does not reject trade, cooperation, or regional integration. What it rejects is pressure, coercion, or any arrangement that compromises sovereignty. From Asmara's viewpoint, history has proven one thing clearly: economic arguments can quickly evolve into territorial claims, and once sovereignty is weakened, it is rarely restored. This is where the deepest fear lies, not in access, but in control. Ports can be accessed through commercial agreements, leasing arrangements, and international law. These mechanisms exist, and they work. But Eritrea fears what comes after. Today, access; tomorrow, security demands; then political influence; and eventually, dominance. In a region where borders were shaped by war rather than negotiation, these fears are not theoretical. Eritrea believes that smaller states must defend absolute sovereignty or risk being slowly absorbed by stronger neighbors. This tension does not exist in isolation. The Red Sea is becoming one of the most strategic and militarized waterways in the world. Global powers, the United States, China, Gulf states, Turkey, and others, are competing for influence through ports, bases, and trade routes. Any instability between Eritrea and Ethiopia risks drawing external actors into the conflict, turning local disputes into proxy battlegrounds. Eritrea's policy of strategic self-reliance and limited alliances is partly designed to avoid this fate, to avoid becoming a tool in larger global struggles. So where does this leave the region? There are 3 possible paths forward. The best case is cooperative economic access. Ethiopia fully respects Eritrea's sovereignty, and access to ports is negotiated strictly on commercial terms, without military presence or political conditions. This path requires restraint in language, respect for international law, and a commitment to coexistence. The most likely scenario is prolonged tension. Ethiopia continues to raise sea access as a strategic necessity. Eritrea remains firm and defensive. Relations stay cold with periodic escalations in rhetoric, but no open conflict. The worst case is coercion. Economic pressure or military force is used, sovereignty is challenged, and the Horn of Africa enters yet another cycle of instability, one that benefits no one. At its core, this is a clash between two realities. On one side, a large landlocked nation seeking strategic flexibility. On the other, a smaller nation that fought too hard for independence to ever compromise its sovereignty. There is no military solution that ends well. There is no development built on coercion. And there is no peace without respect for sovereignty. Ethiopia's need for sea access is understandable. Eritrea's insistence on sovereignty is non-negotiable. The future of the Horn of Africa will be decided by one choice: law or force, negotiation or entitlement, coexistence or dominance. If you found this analysis valuable, share it with others. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation. Because understanding our region is the first step toward shaping its future.